Hello, I'm here with Mr. Deйл Stриклър from the US, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Stриклъr.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you a few questions. First of all, as an American farmer and consultant, your first time here in Hungary, in Budapest. How do you see European mindset, and can we compare European mindset with American farmer? What do you think? What are the differences and similarities?
We have, sometimes in America, we fail to realize how fortunate we are as farmers in America. Our original leaders in the United States were all farmers. Our first president, our second president, our third president were all farmers. Not many countries around the world have leaders who were farmers and then became, and so our country early on put a very high importance on agriculture, on farming, and what farming does for a civilization. That's not the case everywhere, and so we're very fortunate in that regard. And our leaders early in development of our country made at one time education was very expensive and reserved only for the wealthy. In America, we made a commitment. We instituted agricultural colleges specifically for the sons and daughters of farmers to go to college to learn agriculture, and that's made a big difference in our country. And I think it's one of the reasons our country has been very prosperous over the years. Also, we have our farms, our soils have not been farmed for thousands of years. They're still relatively new. So we haven't had as long to mess them up as they have in other parts of the world with our farming methods. We made the same mistakes everywhere else have, but we haven't done it as long.
Yes. And regarding, let's say, European farmers, do you think they're on the moving? They're progressing right now.
Oh yes, absolutely. The thing that I see, European farmers, I think, are more connected. One thing I notice when I come here, everyone speaks English. Everyone speaks many languages, so there's a big exchange of ideas, and I think the fact that someone can speak to someone in Belgium or in France and converse and exchange ideas, that's very important.
What is interesting for European farmers? We usually, when we look, we are trying to integrate some kind of technologies from the US. For example, Strict Steel originated from the US and it came to Europe. The same situation was with let's say Ноу Тил. And when we look at American farmers, we are trying to catch these principles of agriculture, of Ноу Тил, of regenerative agriculture. Can you give me your own principles and what you think? What is the story behind the success of the American Ноу Тил system?
Like a lot of things in America, it was borrowed or stolen from someplace else. We're very good at taking ideas because we're a nation of immigrants. We bring in ideas from all over the world and mix those ideas together. And no-till, cover crops, a lot of that was brought from South America. And it was German and Dutch and that went to South America to farm, and their soils they have very good climate, horrible soil, and they found out if they didn't keep the soil covered, the rain would just wash it away. That's how no-till and cover crops really got started. They brought their ideas to the U.S. at a conference like the one we're attending today, and that's how it got started in the U.S. It didn't come from American minds, it came from South American minds.
Yes, and so nowadays we can say that in the U.S. Regenerative agriculture and cover crops overperformed let's say, classic tillage or some?
Yes,
something?
yes.
That's definitely right.
Yes. It's hard for a farmer to initially accept. You look at a plowed field and the soil is it's loose. It seems that rain would go right in, but it goes only to the depth that the soil has been tilled, and it stops and it sits there. The same with roots, and because when you lift that soil, you press down on the soil below it, and it creates this hard layer that can't be penetrated with water, with air, or with roots. And so the idea behind the cover crops and the no-till is for roots to penetrate through that layer, and for the mulch, the residue from the cash crops and the cover crops to retain that moisture and hold it in the ground so that you don't have problems with drought.
Yeah, it is very, very interesting. And about organic matter in the soil.
Yes.
We used to think, and a professor used to learn us universities, that it is almost impossible to build organic matter
Yes.
rapidly. You need 100 years to build 1%. Do you agree about that or disagree?
I disagree. I was taught the same thing. Said it would take 1,000 years to increase soil organic matter. But I assumed that they were right. You know, they were educated people, very intelligent people. I assumed they were right. And then I hear reports, people who stopped tillage, started using cover crops, started grazing so that the manure went back on the field instead of harvesting and moving all the material away. And they were saying, they increased their humus levels 1%, 2%. That's not possible. I was taught in college that's not possible. And then you go to their farms and you see, and yes, this happened. And then I do it on my own farm, and yes, it happens. When I started with the cover crops, the no-till, 2005, the year 2005, my humus level across my farm, 40 samples across my small farm, 1.9% humus. I did cover crops. I did no-till. I brought livestock in to graze to generate the manure. Now I'm at 4% humus.
Oh, more than double.
More than double in a little over a decade.
Yeah.
And you look at my soil now, and it's not just we take a 15 centimeter soil sample, and that's where we measure our humus, but it goes deeper than that. When I dig a soil pit, my dark soil was about 30 centimeters. Now it's 100 centimeters.
Which is absolutely fantastic. And there is one more question people usually ask this, especially in our country, phosphorus management. Very
Yes.
important management. People believe that we can't do nothing and we need to artificially add phosphorus every year, and it will not move in the soil, and that will cause problems in no-till because we will have a lot of phosphorus in the top layer
Yes.
and not beside. Do you agree or disagree with that? Do you think maybe there is other opportunity with microbiology in the soil? What is your
Yes.
opinion about that?
There have been observations when people first started cover cropping. They would tell me that my soil test levels for phosphorus keep going up, and I haven't added any phosphorus. My soil test says I don't need any, so I apply none. The next year they're higher yet. What's going on? This again is not what I was taught in the university. But the university never tested cover crops. That was not part of their research. So they have done research now to see why this is happening. The soil tests that we take only measure a small percentage of the total phosphorus that's in the soil. The agronomist says there's 50 parts per million phosphorus in this soil. The geologist, however, says there might be 18,000 kilos per hectare in the top meter of soil. Who's right? Well, they both are, but one is available, the other is not. Now, in nature, in a forest, this gets changed into this. The unavailable gets changed into available. If it didn't, we'd have no trees, we'd have no grasslands. How does it get changed from unavailable? And the answer is microbes. And there are microbes called lithotrophs that live, they eat rock particles, literally eat rock particles as their energy source. And they get their minerals, but they're made of carbon, so they have to get carbon from other organisms. So the plants get energy from photosynthesis. They give part of that energy to mycorrhizal fungi. The mycorrhizal fungi give energy to the lithotrophs. In return, the lithotrophs provide minerals to the mycorrhizal fungi, and it provides minerals to the plant. And so you have a flow of energy that goes all the way to the rock particles, a flow of minerals that come all the way to the plant and eventually to us.
Absolutely amazing thing. So the soil system, it's a system of a neural network, let's say, in such a way. Absolutely, because farmers until now they didn't consider soil as a part. They didn't watch soil as a system. Everything, every behavior of us influence some potential result. So, but this is outstanding interview, and I'm very glad to have a chance to speak with you. I hope that next year there will be a chance for you to come to Serbia to learn our farmers.
Wonderful.
Yes, it will be great, and we hope to host you in Serbia at our farm, and you will have a chance to see what we are doing over there. Mr. Deйл, thank you very much for this pleasant conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.